Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is LK and today I'm sharing some very impactful outdoor DIY projects that I think you need to try in 2026. So this video is all about transforming any outdoor space into additional usable square footage for living, even if it's just a small little front porch. So I'm going to share with you some fun and creative ways to up the aesthetic vibe of your outdoor space and incorporate some more function. Pretty much all of these ideas are new to my channel and can be applied to a small apartment balcony or a full backyard. So let's get started with the first set of projects. So no matter how simple or run down your outdoor space is, in this first section, we're starting at the beginning with some foundational upgrades that define the space while improving the look and function without having to do a giant outdoor project or make a huge investment. So this is my front porch area and it's really nice and I love like the original terracotta looking tiles here, but it is quite stained from like a doormat and like old terracotta pots with lime stains, and I tried using a pressure washer to clean this area, but it started chipping up all this paint, so I didn't want to make it worse and I also kind of wanted to make it better at the same time. So I got some of these run-in tiles at IKEA and I've shown these on my channel before. I originally bought these years ago for my apartment in LA. My balcony was so gross and the flooring was just disgusting from previous tenants. So I covered it with a bunch of these tiles and also some of like the faux grass ones, and it really cleaned it up and made it look so much nicer. So I wanted to try it on my front porch to see how I felt about it since I haven't used them for years, just to give it a cleaned up look. These are so simple to install. They have two sides that are similar on one corner and two sides that are similar on another corner, and they basically just interlock, and so you can just lock them in by pressing down, or I just like to step on them to lock them in and you'll hear it snap. So they're totally renter friendly and easy to dismantle if you need to. And luckily these tiles were almost just the same size as the tiles below it, so they pretty much fit this area perfectly. As you can see, they're very lightweight and easy to move around, so you could even make like a little faux rug out of this or something if you wanted. And if you want to hide the edge of this so that it looks a little bit more finished, they do sell these little finishing pieces that looks like a little black sloped piece that kind of just squares it off. I didn't personally like that. I felt like it kind of cheapened the look, especially just on my front porch, because I made sure to orient this so that the simple edge was exposed on the outside, but it is an option depending on your space. So as you can see, as I get to the end here, these tiles are just a little bit too long to fit this area perfectly. So you can actually cut these down with a jigsaw and just fit them into the space as needed. So I just created a template and then taped up the tiles with some painter's tape so that they didn't chip, and then just used my saw to trim off the extra and then laid down a doormat. And this was completely done and it looks so much better. This is my little Zen garden and it sits right underneath this gigantic loquat tree, and we wanted some lighting directly over this table if we wanted to have dinner out here at night or just hang out here when it's dark. And the string lights are a little bit more ambient as the space is so large, so I just wanted something more direct. So I found this light on IKEA's website for $13.99. I loved the just simple like aluminum look and I thought it would be durable for an outdoor space, but as I don't have electricity out here, I just used the cord to tie it around a branch that was directly over the table and then secured it with a zip tie. And then I have this little LED magic bulb, and basically you recharge this on like a working lamp inside, and then it'll last for like a week or so, and it has 3 different brightness settings with just this little button. So I was thinking we can just bring this out whenever we want to sit out here, and it's really bright and such a great spotlight for this area if we wanted to hang out and play cards or have dinner.
But if you don't have anywhere to hang a pendant light, or this option doesn't really serve your situation, I have 2 additional lighting options I wanted to share with you. So the first one is,
if you have an outdoor sconce and that's your only source of power and light outside, you can actually just get a socket to plug adapter and screw it into the light bulb hole. And then it comes with a little plug on the other side where you can plug in some string lights or a pendant light or whatever serves you.
But if you don't have any kind of electricity outside, which is the case for this little area of my backyard,
I found these solar powered bistro lights that are actually quite bright for being solar powered, and you can get them in a bunch of different lengths. I got the 100-foot strand that covered this entire space that you'll see. And then I also picked up some of these poles that have little spikes that you can stick into the ground. And this is how I was able to string the lights around without drilling into anything or having anywhere to hang up the lights. And if you don't have any ground to put poles into, you could also get a little pot and fill it with some cement and then cement one of these poles in there. And the best part about these poles is that they have a little hook that holds the string of lights on top, and then they're completely adjustable. So they come with many different pieces so that you can change the height to whatever serves you best. I will link all this stuff in the description below if this would help you get outside during the warmer months, especially since some of the nicest weather during the summer is during the evening.
I think outdoor spaces are sadly the first thing to get neglected in a home, and it can be daunting to imagine getting rid of everything and starting over so that you can have some usable outdoor furniture and decor, especially if you accidentally left everything outside and now it's just been ruined by the weather. So I really wanted to give you guys some easy and affordable ways to restore what you already have. Or if you've been looking to decorate and furnish an outdoor space on a budget, I definitely think some of these projects will inspire you to restore some free or affordable outdoor items.
So I've been working on updating my front porch area, and I'll put out like a comprehensive video of that in the future. But I recently thrifted this table for that area, and I thought it was so pretty. It almost has this Art Nouveau vibe to it. The person I bought it from said that it was very old from their grandparents' house, so who knows how old it is or what the origin story is, but I absolutely love it. It's just so rusted and really worn out. I want to say it's made from cast iron because it's so heavy. So I wanted to give it that cast iron look and also protect it. So I'm going to restore it by using a metal brush and literally scrubbing for 20 minutes straight to get all of the loose rust and chipping pieces of metal off of it. And then I just hosed it off so that there was no dust or residue left over and let it completely dry in the sun. And then while I did that, I wanted to also try to restore my iron patio furniture set that I picked up secondhand. I got these chairs so affordably because they do look pretty worn down. So I did some research and found that Lowe's had some Valspar direct metal paint, and this is a lot better than just using spray paint because it's literally formulated to grip metal, so it's less likely to peel or flake when the furniture flexes or gets bumped or sits in heat and cold. It also has some built-in rust protection, and it also dries with a really thick hard coat. As you might know, I've been obsessed with this paint sprayer. It was only $49, and I think this is really the best way to apply this paint. You just have to water it down a tad so that it goes through the paint sprayer evenly, but it gives such a nice complete finish coat, and it's just as easy, if not easier, than spray painting. If you want a full tutorial on how to use this paint sprayer, I will link a video in the description below where I walk you through setting it up from start to finish. I think doing all 4 of these furniture pieces took me like 2.5 hours with all the prep and setup and everything like that. So if you've got some worn out iron furniture outside, don't get rid of it. Find a way to restore it and bring some life back into it, because I seriously cannot believe how good and brand new these pieces look. And before I show you the final reveal of what these pieces look like, this little table came with a glass top that looked kind of stained and it's discolored and it's got some like weird stuff on it that I could not get off with this really great glass cleaner that I absolutely love. So I just did 2 rounds of cleaning it, and then I brought in some steel wool. This is quadruple zero steel wool, so it won't actually scratch the glass, but it will be a really nice abrasive to get rid of any kind of weird discoloring or some of this gunk that was stuck on here. And as you can see, it came off like so easily. So this is the best way to, I think, restore some glass for an outdoor table. These pieces still have some texture as I didn't fully buff everything out, but they look 10 times better. You know, getting these outdoor projects done earlier in the year means that you can spend the warmer months enjoying your space instead of working on it. And although I like to be outside getting some fresh air and in the sunshine doing these projects, being in the sun for extended periods of time can really make my skin just feel dry and worn down. So before we jump into the rest of these projects, I just wanted to take a moment to reset and thank today's sponsor, Typology. If you don't know, Typology isn't makeup. It's actually tinted skincare that's made with clean and minimal ingredients in France. As I mentioned before, I've been using Typology for years now. I originally found them when I came across this orange blossom toner, which they don't make anymore, and they have a peppermint toner, which is just as good, but I've been holding onto this as long as I can because I love the smell of it, and I love the quality and how nice it makes my skin feel. But lately, my go-to items have been this little tinted duo. So I've got the tinted serum and also these glow drops. So I've been mixing the two together to just naturally even out my skin tone and also just make my face feel a lot more fresh and bright, which is great when it's feeling really dry and run down. So when I'm getting ready in the morning, I wash my face with the hydrating cleansing milk, and then I put on my 70 SPF sunscreen, of course, which is what I have on now. And then I put on this tinted serum. So basically I just add a little bit into my hand here and then just kind of mix it together. I really feel like you only need like 1 drop of the glow drops to do the job. And then I just kind of like tap it into my face like this. The serum is so lightweight and it's formulated with vitamin C, squalane, and aloe vera. So it just feels very fresh and light on the skin. So as you can see, I think it really evens my skin tone. It highlights my natural complexion and it just kind of gives me this like nice warm glow, which is exactly what I'm looking for because I just really want to highlight my natural features. And then I go in with this tinted lip oil in the shade Black Cherry. They do have a lot of other colors, but I feel like this one again highlights my natural lip color. So I just do a couple dabs on my lip and then a couple dabs on my cheeks because I think this is just kind of like a really natural blush. And this is formulated with vitamin E and jojoba oil and squalane. So it's not really sticky. It's super smooth and nourishing, which is why I don't mind putting it on my cheeks because I think it just kind of brings some life back into my face. So as someone who's not hugely into makeup, I love Typology because they are skincare first while giving you that nice little visual boost. And all of their products feel very light and fresh on the face, which is great, especially when you're outside in the sun, sweating, doing physical labor. So right now, Typology has an exclusive offer through my link. When you spend over $40, you get a free hydrating cleansing milk, which is super awesome, but it's a very limited time offer exclusively through my link for only a week after this video has been posted. So go get it while you can. And thank you so much to Typology for supporting this channel and my skin. Now let's get into the next project. Added these chairs into my patio area about 2 years ago, and I really like them, but they're not the most comfortable on the back when you're sitting there for quite a while. So I found these cushions on Facebook Marketplace for $30, and I really hate the way they look, to be honest. Sorry if you like these, but it's not my vibe, and I wanted to change them up just a bit to match my area. So I came across this outdoor fabric spray paint, and it's got a UV and weather resistance to it. So I got it in like a navy blue color because it only comes in a limited amount of colors, and that would match my bench. So I just started to spray it as you don't need to prime it per the can. And it comes out like in a really thick layer and it's very wet for quite a while. It did take quite some time to dry. And sometimes the little spray nozzle did get a little bit clogged just because I think the paint in there is so thick. However, for $15 for a can, it was definitely worth it because it was so much easier than using something like Rit dye where you need something like the size of a bathtub sometimes to dye a piece of fabric or a pillow yellow or whatever it may be. I did have to do 2 coats though, and these 2 bottles did last for 2 of these cushions, which was pretty great. I probably could do a 3rd coat to try to hide some of the pattern as it still wants to come through. But for the most part, these 2 cushions look completely brand new. And so I wanted to share this with you guys because if you have some old cushions that get kind of gross out in the weather, you can just use this spray paint and maybe spend a couple hours one afternoon doing a couple coats and have some brand new cushions for your chairs or your bench or whatever it may be. So oftentimes when you buy a plant from the nursery, it comes in one of these kind of ugly gray or black pots. And I wanted to not waste the pot and use it, especially since ceramic or stone pots can just cost so much. So I picked up some specific spray paint. I know that this section seems to be a lot about painting, but it's all about choosing the right product in my opinion. And these spray paints actually add a layer of texture. So when you look at them and when you touch them, they actually feel like stone and they have like a nice natural variation, which again makes it look like ceramic or terracotta. So I like the terracotta version the best, I think, and I wanted to use this pot on my front porch to grow like a little patio tomato that just grows in like the size of a bush. So this would be the perfect size just to get it started and get it growing. So I didn't want to spray the inside of the pot. I just wanted to do mainly the outside. I don't think it's the end of the world though if there's some spray paint that gets on the inside. And I just did 2 coats of this and it just looked so good. I also had this really big plastic pot that I planted my Shasta daisies in when I first moved into this house. So if you're in a similar situation where you have a plant in a pot and you really don't like the way that pot looks, I would definitely use some plastic. I just have like a little wood mulch plastic bag left over and I'm using that to cover my plant while I spray paint it because I do want to get the top rim so that it does look realistic. So I wanted to give this one a layer of terracotta as well because those larger terracotta pots can be an investment depending on where you purchase them from, which is why I think this hack actually has the most impact when you're actually spraying a big pot because then it looks just like a big terracotta pot. And if you wanted more of that aged look, you could dust some fresh dirt or garden lime on the spray paint while it's still wet to give it more of that aged look. It'll most likely eventually rub off, but you could try it out. I also found this pot on the property and it was quite chipped and just kind of ugly in the way it was, even though I washed it really well. So I'm covering it in this textured spray paint that had a really nice warm color by Krylon. But then I ran out just toward the end and I guess they discontinued this color, so I couldn't even finish it. So I ended up using a different spray paint to kind of have this like darker sandy look to it. And then I used my diamond drill bit to put a hole in the bottom so that I can actually drain this into a tray. And this process is a little bit difficult just in the sense that it does take some time and you also have to have some water flowing on this thing in order to put a hole in it, but it's definitely worth the time because it makes the pot totally usable. So these are a few ways to make the most of some of your pots that you might have lying around, or maybe just some cheap ones that you can find on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, this section is all about adding in some creativity and personality to your outdoor areas. In interior design, it's really alluring to focus only on polish and making a strong impression and statement. And although you can apply that to outdoor design and landscaping, I think outdoor spaces in general are a great place to experiment and maybe express yourself a little bit more freely than you might indoors. So I wanted to share a few projects that I think are really fun and easy to do that also add a little something extra and fun to your outdoor spaces without looking super cheesy.
So I found this little bird bath pedestal on the property here, but I never found the bird bath bowl that goes with it. So I thrifted this pot and just filled it up with some water and added this little solar fountain disc I got on Amazon for like $15. When it's in the sun, the little pump goes off and the water sprays everywhere. And there's different tips you can switch out so that you can get a different type of spray or just a gurgling noise. But when it's in the shade, it doesn't go off, unfortunately. However, concrete bird baths and fountains are quite pricey, and fountains require plumbing plumbing and power in order for them to run consistently. And those are two things I don't have in the backyard. So I thought this was a really great compromise. So I did this again with a fiber clay bird fountain I found at a nursery into my Zen garden area with another one of these fountains that had little suction cups on the bottom. And of course, this looks like a little bit more of a high-end vibe, as it actually looks like it's made out of stone, but it's super lightweight. But after doing so much searching, because I really wanted this solar fountain pump to work even when this was in the shade, I finally came across this solar pump that actually has a battery in it, and it charges up in the sun and uses its internal battery to even run in the shade or at nighttime. And it also has like a light feature as well, which is so cool. And it was no more expensive than the other one. So I think this is a really cool solution to help bring in some wildlife into your outdoor space, but also give you that nice little water feature sound without power or plumbing. I honestly think that the most valuable piece of outdoor furniture is a little side table so you can place your book or your drink or whatever it may be. So I originally picked these up because I wanted to turn them into like a creative little side table with a mosaic top. But just to get started on my backyard makeover, I just wanted to give them a little refresh with a different colored paint. I liked the green, but I wanted something more matte and sage green just to match this rug that I got from IKEA. And despite me doing 2 coats, I didn't use a primer, which I should have. So after some weather, even storing them upside down so they didn't collect water, some of the paint chipped off of them. So I wanted to finally just commit to my original vision, which was to create a mosaic table out of this. And I think this is such a cool and fun outdoor project now that I've done it. It does take some time and vision, and I tried to come up with something that was completely out of my own brain. I didn't copy anything, and I wanted to incorporate some of the aspects of our yard on this mosaic table as well, and to make it personal. So we have a huge lemon and a huge orange tree, and I wanted those to be on here. I also maybe wanted to incorporate like the olive tree, and I wanted it to feel kind of Mediterranean and just match the current setup of what we have in the backyard right now. So I got a lot of these tiles from Amazon because I was looking for very specific colors, shapes, and sizes, and I couldn't really find anything at the local art thrift store or even just like the local craft store. So I'll link all of this stuff down below if you want to check it out just to see what else is out there and what's available to you. But because I'm new to this, I wanted to find some tiles that would help emphasize my vision, which was creating rounded objects, which is the orange and the lemon. So I found these like oblong shaped ones that allowed me to create those types of shapes. And I really had to sit here for such a long time to try to figure out what's the best way to create the most efficient looking circular object that also represents a piece of fruit. But I think once I finally came around to it, I really just kind of went back and forth on this for probably a few weeks. And I thought maybe I could just use the oranges and the lemons around the border and then kind of create some kind of spiral with these colors on the outside to just kind of give it some shape and enclosure. And I attached all of these tiles with this welding glue. I did a lot of research on mosaic tables, especially for beginners, and it seemed like glue is the easiest way to start instead of using mortar. It was still kind of pliable, so if I made a mistake, I could change it up, as it takes about 24 hours to dry. Additionally, as you can see, I think I'm doing a lot of experimentation here of what the layout could be before I'm even gluing anything down. So once I feel like I'm committing to a certain design style, I'm then moving all of the tiles, adding a small bead of the glue, and then using the tweezers or my fingers to put the tile on the glue and put it back in place. It was also suggested to get some of these shears that allow you to trim the tiles so easily. I was actually kind of intimidated by it, but it came in a pack of 2, and one does like more of a curved cut and the other one is just a straight cut. And I just used my hand and held it over the piece of tile when I wanted to cut it to just catch the flying pieces. And that was about it. It really wasn't that dramatic, and it was very helpful and super important at the end when I really needed to fill in some additional spaces. I also thought it was really helpful to pick up some of these like chef's tweezers, because some of the pieces were very small and kind of hard to grab and also place, especially if you have kind of a shakier hand. And also once you start getting the glue involved, it's easy to get glue all of your fingers. So this pack I got had 3 different tweezers that had 3 separate openings. One was large, one was medium, and one was small, which I found very helpful as we had so many different sizes of pieces. And I think this just took the orange from looking like a bunch of random tiles put together to actually looking filled in and looking like a real mosaic orange. Design-wise, I think it's important to incorporate some kind of like geometric structure or centerpiece. So I just use these 4 little tiles in the middle to kind of be the main focal point to put everything around. I also added some additional flowers and leaves that kind of represented the olive tree. And I just am trying to create some kind of like balance with repetition here. So we have like 1 small lemon, 1 small orange, 1 big orange, 1 big lemon. And again, I've never done this before, so I was just kind of experimenting with this as I went. But it really started to come together once we started to add in some of these white tiles because it really made everything else pop. And from here on out, it was really just about kind of doing a jigsaw puzzle of adding in all of these little broken pieces and cutting them down to size so that they would all fit together. There's going to be some natural gaps between all of the tiles, but that's going to get filled with some grout. So eventually toward the end, you're going to see a finished product. But I have to say that this was a very time-consuming project, although very relaxing and so much fun and very creative. And I really would do it again. I probably would do things differently with the layout. And now that I kind of understand what really makes an impactful mosaic table, which is like figuring out a color palette and a design style and also finding those ways to repeat pattern. I think it would be fun to make just like a very simple geometric pattern, something maybe more mid-century inspired, maybe something kind of Spanish inspired. And once I finally got this little flower icon in the middle, I think this really just finalized the design of the piece. So this was a really fun upgrade to add to the yard, especially to bring in some more wildlife and to enjoy the outdoor space in a different way. So this is a smart bird feeder that has a camera inside, so it can record the birds as they come up and eat the bird seed. And it comes with a solar panel to power it up and charge it. It also has like a cavity to hold bird seed, and it has this little antenna on it as it connects to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And so you can easily charge this up or leave it plugged in, or you can use the solar panel. And then there's this little piece that you snap on so that birds can jump on and stand on here while they eat the food. And it comes with a lot of really interesting options for mounting. You can either wrap it around a tree or you can screw it into like a wood or metal post. It also comes with a few different sizes of these stainless steel hose clamps that you could use to like mount it to a pole on a fence, for example, or maybe like a banister on your balcony. It also comes with the ability to mount it on a tripod if that's something that works for you. So you just put this little bottom piece on, and then I'm going to mount mine on a tree, and I'm just threading this belt through it and then just tightening it around the tree trunk and then just filling it with some bird seed. And after downloading the app, you can create an account and sync to your bird feeder, and then you can view the birds remotely from the camera on this little feeder. So when they come up, it'll give you a little notification that you have a bird at your feeder, and then there's even a feature that attempts to identify the bird that's visiting. And if you miss the notification, it actually keeps a little record and a log of all the birds that showed up at different timestamps, which is pretty cool. I thought this was really fun. It's a way to bring wildlife and like chirping noises into the yard. We named ours Rhonda's feeder because that's one of our cats and she loves watching the birds on the TV. But I think it's really fun to just see some wildlife, especially if you live in a suburban area.
Oftentimes when we're designing outdoor spaces, I see this all the time. We're torn between two major extremes. One is purchasing these really nice and mature plants that are quite a big investment, but they add a lot of atmosphere. And the other end of the spectrum is purchasing a lot of little plants that we can afford, but then it just adds a lot of unnecessary clutter. But there's a third way to go about it that I think is a little bit smarter, especially for smaller spaces. So here are 3 ways to add greenery to your outdoor design without requiring a giant outdoor space or making a huge investment. I think one upgrade I see in any kind of outdoor makeover is always like a little quaint herb garden. And oftentimes I don't think those last for most people. Everyone kind of forgets to take care of it. Terracotta pots also dry out very quickly, and so you have to keep them moist. And I don't think that it's like a long-term thing. It just seems kind of aesthetic in the moment. So
I've had a lot more luck keeping plants alive by using my own little DIY plant tower. So at the Dollar Tree, you can buy these little 3-sided pots that you can stack, and you can create your own kitchen garden or flower garden in less than 2 square feet. And not only is this a plant garden maybe full of flowers or vegetables or herbs or maybe a mix of all three, it's also a really interesting sculptural moment, especially as all the plants begin to grow and bloom. And it's so convenient because you can literally put it outside your front or back door. So you can make your own cut flower garden and bring flowers into the home, or have it be an edible kitchen garden. And it probably won't cost you any more than $50 to get started. And this is great if you don't have a backyard and can't put in garden beds, or maybe you don't even have an area to hang hanging flower pots. These can of course get pretty heavy once you add in soil and water. So I recently discovered that you can pick up these little pot casters at IKEA in their garden section for only $10 each, which makes these towers completely mobile. And I've been using this for the last 2 years now, but I recently discovered this thing called a green stalk through Epic Gardening. And it's this 7-tier or 5-tier tower. There's 2 different versions with 6 different sections to hold 6 different plants on each tier. So that's 6 times 7, that's 42 plants in just a 19-inch wide by 56-inch tall space. And this thing also has a self-watering system and a stand with casters, so you can move it around wherever you need to. So if you ask me, this is a much more efficient system to actually growing herbs and having a real kitchen garden in any outdoor space, even just right outside your front door, as long as there's access to sun. Some features I really like is that the bottom has casters with locks on them, so it won't just roll away, especially if you put it on a slanted surface. The top reservoir actually holds water and slowly drips water through each tier, and each tier has a microscopic hole that slowly lets water through, so it doesn't just rush to the bottom and actually nourishes your plants. So I really wanted to test this out and see if I could maximize how much food I'm growing, especially on my driveway, as my driveway is what gets the majority of really good sun, especially in the winter time. So I wanted to add in some strawberries and lettuces like spinach, arugula, and romaine. I also wanted to try growing a big broccoli and maybe some celery and some basil as well. And because this is going to be on my driveway, it's going to be right outside of my kitchen. So it's just removing the friction between having to manage a garden bed and go all the way into the backyard and get something. This is just immediate access and something I can keep my eye on all day, every day. These come in a bunch of different colors, and you can also move this thing around to get optimal sun. So for half of the day, I leave my green stalk facing the sun one way, and then for the other half of the day, I just go out there and check on everything and spin it around. And so if you've ever wanted to have your own little kitchen garden, I highly recommend this. I think it is so cool and super convenient and easy to set up and use.
I think all of these projects would be really impactful for your outdoor spaces, especially because there's been research that having some outdoor time and some fresh air and also just seeing greenery or flowers can actually improve your mood and your day-to-day living.
If you want a smaller way to add in flowers, herbs, or plants into your balcony space or any outdoor area, I discovered something called sky pots. I was actually trying to come up with a way to DIY this myself, but then as I was researching, I saw someone already created it. So you can get a 2-pack or a 4-pack, and you can continue to add on to this as needed. But basically, this is a little hanging system that allows multiple pots of any type, whether ceramic or plastic, and no matter the size, to be connected to each other so that when you water the top one, it waters the plants below it. And it's so compact and doesn't take up much space at all. You just need to make sure to use a screw on the wall that's going to hold that type of weight. And the water just trickles down these poles, and then it gets caught at the very bottom with this little cup so that it could catch all the excess water. And then you can just dump that water back into the pot or into your other plants. But I thought this was a really convenient and small space saving way to include more plants in your space in an aesthetically pleasing way, considering I'm not a huge fan of those hanging basket macrame rope things. I've been really into all these weird variations of mint. Like I have chocolate mint and strawberry mint, orange mint, and mojito mint. And so these are kind of invasive in the sense that if you plant them somewhere, they will root themselves all over your yard. So a great place to plant something like mint is in a pot, and they smell so good. I thought it would be just a really nice accent to have on the front porch. But because I have concrete or plaster walls, I just use some construction screws that are made for concrete and drilled this in with a little Dollar Tree hanger. And then the Sky Pots package came with a chain to hang the pots. And then that's pretty much it. And it fills up a really nice little blank piece of my wall, and it looks really nice and put together.
You don't have to spend a ton of money on structures or have a giant backyard or buy a bunch of big furniture. There are so many ways to affordably decorate an outdoor area so that you can have that additional living space and square footage. And if you're not spending the time to design these outdoor spaces, you're not really getting to take advantage of that. And I think that can maybe potentially add to or lead to unhappiness in the space that you're in. I'll also link everything that I mentioned down in the description below if you want to check it out. And hopefully we'll be returning to the outdoor spaces like 3 to 4 times a year just to give you guys some updates on how everything's coming along and share some new DIY projects or outdoor upgrades that I've discovered. So we'll be back into my interior design content in the near future here. So other than that, I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.